A girl, barely 8, left to die in a landfill by her stepmother in the wake of her father's suspicious passing. Against all odds, she survived, and years later resurfaced under a different name, her heart set on vengeance against the woman who shattered her world. You're listening to Triumph Tales. Let this story move you. Act 1, Survival, Los Angeles, October 2005. The sun had set hours ago, but the stale heat of the day still clung to the vast wasteland that was the Sun Valley landfill. Sprawling hills of refuse towered like man-made mountains, leaking smoke and secrets into the dry desert air. Somewhere between rusted appliances and rotting fast food bags, a child sat alone. Her name was Lucy Carter. She was 8 years old. She wore a pink dress, now smeared with oil and dirt, and clutched a headless doll tightly to her chest, the last gift her father had ever given her. 3 days earlier, she had been living in a modest 2-bedroom house in North Hollywood with her father, Daniel Carter, and her stepmother, Victoria. Daniel was a mechanic, honest, hard-working, and deeply in love with the wrong woman. Victoria Blackwell was everything Daniel wasn't: rich, elegant, calculating. She had married Daniel not for love, but for his property and for revenge, against a family that had once cast her out. The accident that claimed Daniel's life had been no accident at all. The brakes failed on a winding stretch of Mulholland Drive. No one suspected a thing. Lucy did. Even at 8, she felt the coldness growing behind Victoria's eyes after the funeral. The night Victoria brought her to the landfill, she said they were going to watch the sunset together. Lucy believed her, because children want to believe. They parked near the top of a hill. Victoria stepped out of the sleek black sedan and opened the back door. Her heels clicked on gravel as she pulled Lucy out with one hand and dropped her doll on the ground. She looked down at the girl, the faint glow of the moon reflecting off her expensive earrings. "You'll be safe here, Lucy," she said, with a fake smile. "No one will look for you, not even your daddy's ghost." Then she turned, got back in the car, slammed the door, and drove off without another word. Lucy screamed. She ran after the car until her lungs burned and her legs gave out. The silence that followed was the loudest thing she had ever heard. That first night, she slept beneath a broken office chair. Rats scurried near her feet. She cried until there were no more tears, and then she just stared into the dark. The second day, hunger clawed at her insides. She tried following the distant sound of traffic, but only ended up deeper in the maze of garbage. Her doll, now more rag than toy, stayed with her the whole time. On the third morning, she collapsed near a burned-out mattress. That's where Miguel found her. Miguel Hernandez was a scrap collector. He lived off what the world threw away, a thin, middle-aged man with weathered hands and eyes like cracked glass. He didn't trust anyone, but when he saw Lucy, he didn't walk away. He carried her to his rusted pickup and brought her to the trailer he called home, parked near a train yard in East LA. He gave her water, a slice of bread, and a blanket, full of holes. It was more kindness than she had seen in days. For weeks, Lucy barely spoke, but Miguel never asked questions. He taught her how to sort copper, how to sell scrap for cash, how to keep her head down. And then one night, while they were digging through a fresh pile near the outskirts of the landfill, Lucy found something. It was a photo, water-stained and oily. A picture of her father, smiling next to the old Dodge he'd fixed up just before the crash. The corner of the picture was soaked in a dark, sticky substance. Miguel took it from her, studied it, then sniffed the corner. "This isn't mud," he said softly, switching to Spanish. "It's brake fluid. That's what they use to kill the brakes. Someone did this on purpose." Lucy stared at the photo, at her father's grin, at the edge of his hand resting on the car that killed him, and something snapped. That night, Lucy sat on the steps of the trailer and whispered her first words in days. "I'll make you pay, Victoria. I'll take everything, even your pretty pink life." Miguel heard her. He didn't ask what she meant. From that moment forward, Lucy Carter was gone. She became Sophia Reyes. Miguel helped her get fake papers from a friend downtown. Birth certificate, school registration, even a health card. She entered a shelter, posing as a runaway from Arizona. From there, the system placed her in a foster home. It wasn't perfect, but she learned to survive, to hide in plain sight. She cleaned hotel rooms, worked as a dishwasher, learned how to change her name again and again. She read books in libraries about law, computers, and human behavior, watched late-night TV about cybercrime, learned how to disappear and how to watch. While Victoria Blackwell remarried, rising from tragedy into wealth by seducing Senator James Blackwell, a powerful politician with a taste for younger women, Sophia watched from the shadows. Victoria had traded her mourning veil for diamonds and private jets. She gave interviews about overcoming grief, built a brand of luxury perfume, and threw charity galas for orphaned children. It made Sophia sick, but she waited. She watched. She built a plan. 15 years passed. One morning in the spring of 2020, Sophia Reyes, now a composed young woman in her early 20s, stood in line outside a private security firm in downtown Los Angeles. She held a resume, a fake one. It claimed she had experience in house management, discretion with high-profile clients, and training in culinary arts. All lies. Except for the part about discretion. That she had in abundance. She was there to apply for a job posted by the Blackwell estate, live-in house staff. 2 weeks later, she stood at the gates of a mansion in Beverly Hills. The marble pillars gleamed like bones in the sunlight. The gate buzzed open. Sophia walked through. She wore a simple uniform, no makeup, her hair pulled back. She had studied Victoria's face 1,000 times, but had not seen it in person in 15 years. When they met again, Victoria did not recognize her. Of course she didn't. Victoria had thrown Lucy away like trash. She never expected trash too. Act 2. Infiltration. The Blackwell estate wasn't just a house. It was a fortress. A 3-story, marble-clad symbol of power nestled deep in Beverly Hills, perched above the city like it didn't belong to the same world as the rest of Los Angeles. Crystal chandeliers, imported Italian floors, and security cameras hidden in the eyes of bronze statues. Everything was spotless. Everything watched. Sophia took it all in without a blink. She was assigned to the kitchen first, preparing breakfasts, refilling imported mineral water, arranging Victoria's vitamins in neat, color-coded rows. No one paid much attention to her, just another pair of hands in a rotating staff of nameless workers. But she listened and remembered everything. Victoria still had the same clipped, icy tone, still laughed too loudly when politicians were near, still thought help couldn't understand English if she spoke fast enough. One afternoon, Sophia overheard her on the phone with her lawyer, arguing about a property transfer, something about offshore accounts and trusts in the Caymans. That night, Sophia made her first move. She snuck into the home office while the family was out at a charity dinner, wore gloves, disabled the alarm, pulled the backup hard drive from the safe behind a painting of James Blackwell, shaking hands with the governor. It was encrypted, of course, but Sophia had learned from the best, or rather, the worst. Online forums, black hat blogs, tutorials hidden behind fake recipe sites. She cracked the drive in 3 days, emails, financial records, surveillance footage, and a folder labeled Lucy. She clicked it. Inside were old newspaper clippings, a digital scan of Daniel Carter's death certificate, a photo of Lucy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, in a ballerina costume, half her face torn off by time. Victoria had kept it all. Why? Guilt? Insurance? Sophia didn't know, but she copied everything onto a burner drive and put the original back without a trace. The next few weeks she played her part to perfection. She scrubbed toilets, folded towels, smiled politely. She learned the security codes when the guards changed shifts and how many cameras were real. She also met someone she hadn't planned for. Ethan Blackwell, Victoria's stepson, 17. Moody, smarter than he let on. He caught her sneaking a cigarette in the back garden one night and said, "You don't seem like the others." Sophia exhaled. What do the others seem like? Desperate. Afraid of my mom. You don't flinch when she talks. Sophia smiled. Maybe I'm just numb. Ethan looked at her. Or maybe you're here for something else. From that moment, he started watching her, not with suspicion, with curiosity, maybe even admiration. One evening, she found a drawing tucked into the side pocket of her laundry cart. A charcoal sketch of a girl, her, standing in front of the house holding matches. She stared at it for a long time. Ethan didn't say a word. Neither did she. But from then on, he became an ally she didn't expect. Victoria, meanwhile, was unraveling. There were whispers of an FBI inquiry into Senator Blackwell's donors, a pending lawsuit from a former employee, a cancelled perfume deal in Paris. Sophia didn't cause all of it, but she certainly helped fan the flames. She started planting seeds. A missing earring here, a phone call left on speaker near guests, a few altered calendar events that made Victoria miss key meetings. Nothing big, nothing obvious, but just enough to make people ask, "Are you okay, Victoria?" With that slight edge of doubt, Sophia's goal wasn't to destroy her overnight. It was to make her crack, slowly, and it was working. Then came the gala, a black tie benefit at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, hosted by Victoria herself, raising funds for victims of domestic violence. The irony made Sophia sick, but she played the perfect staff member, hair tight, posture straight, a silver tray balanced on her hand like a weapon. Victoria glided through the ballroom in a silk gown, all fake humility and photogenic smiles. At exactly 9:23 p.m., the lights dimmed for a tribute video. Victoria took center stage, her hand on Senator Blackwell's arm, prepared to bask in applause. Instead, the screen behind her flickered, then changed. It was a home video, grainy footage, wind in the microphone, a little girl's voice, "Papa," echoing faintly. Then came the image, Victoria, 2005, standing next to a black sedan on a hill of trash, her voice unmistakable. "You'll be safe here, Lucy. No one will look for you. Not even your daddy's ghost." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Victoria froze. The footage cut to a still image. Daniel Carter's brake line, frayed and soaked in fluid. Miguel's whisper, "It's not mud. It's brake fluid." Chaos erupted, paparazzi shouted. Guests scrambled. The senator grabbed his wife's arm. "What the hell is this?" Sophia stepped forward through the panicked crowd. Calm, cold. She leaned in close to Victoria, whispered, "Remember the doll you ripped from my hands? I sewed it back together, just like I'll stitch your fate." Victoria stared at her, and then she knew. "Lucy?" Sophia smiled. "Wrong again. It's Sophia now." The full Victoria Blackwell didn't speak again that night. She was escorted out of the hotel by her husband and 2 security guards, her face hidden behind oversized sunglasses, though it was long past midnight. Cameras flashed, reporters screamed, but Victoria said nothing. She didn't have to. By morning, the video had gone viral. Every major outlet, CNN, TMZ, even the BBC, ran headlines. L.A. socialite linked to 2005 cold case dumping, senator's wife implicated. In shocking child abandonment footage, is Lucy Carter alive? The FBI reopened the case. Local detectives began digging. Paparazzi parked outside the mansion. Protesters gathered near the gates with signs that read, "Justice for Lucy." Inside the Blackwell estate, the walls were closing in. James Blackwell. Never one to tie himself to sinking ships, hired lawyers to assess the legal separation process. He gave a tearful interview on 60 Minutes about being deceived for years. Victoria lashed out. She fired half the household staff, accused her assistant of betrayal, smashed a baccarat vase worth $30,000, and in the chaos, she still didn't recognize how much worse it could get. Not until her bank account started freezing. Sophia had used the files she'd copied weeks earlier, the ones detailing shell companies, hidden transfers, offshore trusts, to send anonymous tips to the IRS, the DOJ, and 2 whistleblower forums. Within 48 hours, Victoria's financial empire began to collapse. No more drivers, no more stylists, no more PR team to spin the narrative. She was alone. Finally. But Sophia wasn't finished. She had one last card to play, one last wound to open. One evening, under the guise of retrieving her final paycheck, Sophia returned to the estate. The house was quiet, too quiet. Victoria sat at the dining table in a silk robe, hair unbrushed, mascara smudged like war paint. She didn't look surprised to see Sophia. "You win," she said flatly, pouring herself a glass of something amber. "What now? You gonna kill me?" Sophia stepped forward slowly. "I could," she said, "and no one would stop me." Victoria chuckled, bitter and broken. "Go ahead then. Take your revenge. Everyone else has." Sophia studied her. This woman who once left her in a landfill now looked like trash herself. No makeup, no cameras, just a bitter shell. But revenge wasn't a clean thing. It didn't come with peace, only closure. "You don't get to choose how this ends," Sophia said. She placed a thick envelope on the table. Inside, a full confession, drafted weeks ago, backed by timestamps, emails, and witness testimony, ready to be turned in. "Sign it," Sophia said, "or I release the rest." Victoria opened it. Her hands trembled. She read a few lines, then a few more. Her face hardened. "You're bluffing," Sophia smiled. "Am I?" Victoria hesitated, then reached for the pen. She signed, not for justice, not for remorse, but because in that moment she knew she'd lost. Sophia took the envelope and walked away. As she reached the foyer, Ethan appeared from the shadows. He looked tired, angry, but not at her. "You really were her," he said quietly. "All this time." Sophia didn't deny it. "You used me," he added. Sophia hesitated, then nodded. "I had to," she said. "I didn't have the luxury of kindness." He stared at her, then handed her a flash drive. She kept everything. Footage, phone calls, she used it like insurance. Sophia took it. "Why give this to me?" "Because I believe you," Ethan said. "It's because someone has to break the cycle." He walked past her out into the night. Sophia stood alone in the marble foyer. For a moment she was 8 years old again, holding a broken doll and staring into the dark, but not anymore. Epilogue. Ashes 1 month later, Victoria Blackwell was formally indicted on charges of conspiracy, fraud, and attempted murder. The press went wild. Her mugshot, stunned and makeup-free, graced magazine covers from LA to Lisbon. She was denied bail. Her trial was set for early the next year in San Quentin County Court. Sophia never testified. She didn't have to. The evidence spoke for itself. With the remaining assets seized, Sophia donated what was left of the Blackwell estate to a foundation for abandoned children. She refused interviews, ignored book deals. She didn't want to be famous, just free. Miguel Hernandez, now an old man, saw her photo on the news. He smiled, whispered something in Spanish, then turned off the TV and went back to fixing a toaster. He never asked for thanks. Sophia sent him a letter anyway. No return address, just a single sentence. "I kept my promise." And in the hills of Beverly Hills, where the once mighty mansion now stood empty, someone, maybe Sophia, maybe not, lit a single match one night, watched, as flame kissed marble, as smoke rose into the dark, because in Los Angeles, even ashes can rise again.